Welcome to the Sci-Fi Evolution channel. Commander Zar sat in his command chair, his mandibles clicking with boredom, as his ship, the Conqueror, emerged from FDL travel. The viewport flickered, showing a small, blue-green planet spinning lazily in the void. "Is that all? Is this a human colony, Zar?" he groaned, his four eyes blinking in turn. "I was expecting something more impressive." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Rila, checked her datapad. "A terraformed planet designated HD-117, sir. The human designation is Terra Nova. The population is about 300,000. Minimal orbital defense assets. No significant military presence." "Perfect." Zar straightened his back. "The Supreme Ruler will be pleased with an easy conquest. Let's add glory to the empire of the galaxies." He tilted his head, his mustache twitching nervously. "Sir, if I may, our data on people is quite limited. The diplomatic corps suggests caution." Commanders are let out a laugh that sounded like the grinding of rocks in a blender. He looked at them and saw their frail bodies without natural armor. Their sensory abilities were pathetic. One species, one homeworld, barely a century of space travel. The galactic empire spanned 17 systems, with 8 client species. What could they do against them? Rila's mandibles clicked, and she seemed to accept the situation. "Whatever you say, Commander. Prepare the invasion force." Zar ordered the use of a standard protocol for the orbital bombing of military installations, followed by the deployment of amphibious assault ships in large populated areas. "I want this planet under galactic control by dinner, yes," Sub-Commander Rila replied, turning to relay the orders. Zar walked over to the porthole, clasping his clawed hands behind his back. This will be his 7th planetary conquest, but his first human world. The Supreme Ruler has been interested in these people lately, something about their rapid technological development and resourcefulness. Zar chuckled. All species considered themselves special until they met the galaxies. The sensor operator shouted, "Scan completed. We have identified their main settlement and defensive structures." On the screen, Zar ordered, and the view changed, showing a modest-sized city located between mountains and the ocean. Defensive structures and a small spaceport were scattered everywhere. Zar chuckled. "Start bombing." The inevitable conquest began when its main cannons fired, sending bright purple streaks towards the planet's surface. The bridge crew watched impassively as explosions blossomed across the landscape. "The first salvo was successful," the weapons officer reported. "The defenses have been neutralized by 60%. "Continue bombing," Zar ordered. "Prepare the ground forces for the landing." After 20 minutes, after the completion of the orbital bombardment, the ground forces were landed. The shelling turned the colony's defenses into smoking ruins. Zar surveyed the damage with satisfaction. "Launch the landing craft in the standard conquest formation." Rila approached him with a confident look. "Sir, we are detecting unusual communication patterns from the colony, but they don't send distress signals to their homeworld." Zar waved a claw dismissively. "We may have destroyed their long-range communicators." "No, sir, they have working equipment. They just don't use it." "That's interesting," Zar admitted. "Keep an eye on their communication. Perhaps they are already giving up. It would be disappointing, but effective." "Ground forces have landed, Commander," the tactical officer announced. "Establishing bridgeheads in sectors 1 to 7. Zar chirped with anticipation. "Great, keep me updated on their progress." The next hour passed with the usual efficiency. Ground forces reported minimal resistance, gaining a foothold in key infrastructure sectors. Zar was almost disappointed by how easily the humans capitulated. "Rila," she interrupted his thoughts. "Commander Xander requests your attention. There's a situation here." Zar clicked his mandibles impatiently. "Connect with him." The viewport flickered, showing Commander Xander's helmeted face, his exoskeleton shining in the alien sunlight, but smoke rose from burning buildings behind him. "Commander Zar," Xander began, "we have encountered an anomaly, sir." "Explain," Zar demanded. "People are not behaving as expected. We have seized government buildings, power plants, and water treatment plants, but the people—" Xander paused, his mandibles twitching nervously. "Don't give up. They're not even fighting, really. They're just looking at us." Zar blinked his 4 eyes in turn. "Are they looking at you? They retreat when we advance, but not in panic. They are organized and methodical, and they're smiling, sir. They're smiling. It's their expression of happiness," Xander said. "Yes, sir, that's a concern. We've lost contact with Squad 7 and Squad 12. When we investigate, there's nothing there. No bodies, no signs of a struggle. They just disappeared." Zar felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping up his spine. This worry was unbearable. He was the commander of the Galactic Empire. He established a secure perimeter and continued the operation. These people are playing mind games. Don't fall for their primitive psychological tactics. "Yes, Commander," Xander replied, not entirely convinced. "The transfer has ended." Rila walked over to Zar's command chair. "Sir, perhaps we should deploy additional forces or conduct a more thorough scan of the colony." Zar hissed. "Are you suggesting that I overspend resources because a few soldiers got lost? People are disorganized, and they are no match for us. It will be over by nightfall." After 3 hours, Xar didn't feel so confident anymore. "What do you mean, 40%? Our ground forces," the tactical commander's voice cut off over the communication system. "Sir, they're taking our soldiers. We don't know what's going on." At one point, the squad was entrenched in the building. The next moment, they just disappeared. There were no shots fired, no signs of a struggle. "People are always looking at us from afar, always smiling." Zar slammed his clawed fist against the armrest. "This is unacceptable. Deploy heavy armored units to level any structure where resistance is detected." "Sir," Rila interjected, "perhaps we should reconsider." "Silence," Zar hissed. "I will not be the first galaxy commander to fail against these primitive mammals." There was silence on the bridge as the crew avoided looking at their commander's anger. Only Rila dared to speak again. "Commander, we are detecting an energy surge from the central area of the colony." Zar snapped his mandibles in frustration. "What's with the energy surge? It doesn't match the signature of any weapon." "Our database." Before Zar could respond, the ship's sensor screamed. Several objects were rising from the surface. The sensor operator shouted, "Security systems online. Are they missiles or fighter jets?" "Shadow did it." "Negative, sir," the confused operator replied. "It looks like these are our own landing ships." The stunned cameraman stared at the screen in disbelief as a dozen galactic landing ships rose from the colony, their hulls shining in the sun. "It's impossible," he whispered. "Who controls them?" The answer came a moment later, when the communication system crackled and a human face appeared on the screen. Pink skin, dark hair pulled back, and yes, that disturbing expression. Smiling greetings. The man said in perfect galactic language, "I am Director Kira Novak from the New Era Colony. I think you've lost something." Zar's mandibles clicked quickly in shock. "How do you speak our language? How did you capture our ships?" The human smile widened, showing blunt teeth. "Oh, we're learning fast, Commander. Very quickly. As for your ships, let's just say that your ground troops were very helpful in explaining how everything works. This is an act of war." Zar's voice faltered. "Return our soldiers and ships immediately, or what, Novak?" Her smile remained unchanged as she interrupted. "You will destroy our colony. It seems you've already tried, and how are you doing it?" Rila stepped forward. "Director Novak, I'm Rila's subcommander. Maybe we can come to an agreement. Oh, we've passed the negotiation stage, Novak replied pleasantly. But don't worry, we're sending your soldiers back. Most of them, anyway. We have reserved a few for further discussions. As if on cue, the sensor operator shouted, Commander, the landing craft are on an interception course. Raise shields. Prepare point defense systems, Zar ordered. Wait, Rila said, studying her console. They are not attacking. They fit together. Her system resolves them automatically. Zar's blood froze. Cancel. Block all docking procedures, she ordered. I can't, sir, the systems officer replied, his mandibles shaking. They have valid authorization codes. Director Novak's smile turned into something like a predatory grin. As I mentioned, your troops were really invaluable. We'll be in touch, Commander. Security personnel, assemble in all docking areas, Zar commanded. Prepare to board. The ship's internal communications system suddenly activated, but instead of warning safety, a strange, rhythmic sound filled the bridge. It was music, human music with a strong rhythm and howling instruments. What is that noise? Zar demanded. Turn it off. I can't, sir, the communications officer replied, frantically working at his console. They hacked our system somehow. The light on the bridge flickered, then dimmed to an ominous red glow. The music got louder. Status report, Zar demanded. We're losing control of the ship system, sir, the increasingly panicked systems officer replied. Life support systems, engines, weapons, everything is blocked, one by one. This is impossible, Zar hissed. Our systems are encrypted with quantum. Rila interrupted, pointing to the main view. The screen activated on its own, showing the interior of one of their docking bays. The landing ship lowered its ramp onto the deck, but instead of the Galician soldiers, human figures appeared, dressed in what appeared to be modified Galician battle armor. How did they arrive so quickly? Zar couldn't finish the thought. The leading man looked directly into the camera and showed an alarming grin. Before raising what was clearly a Galician pulse rifle, he fired, and the screen went blank. Commander, Rila said softly, I think we've made a strategic mistake. Zar sank into his command chair, his earlier confidence dissipating like morning dew. Seal the bridge, prepare to board. But even as he gave the order, Zar knew it was too late. The ship-wide communications system crackled again, and Director Novak's voice echoed across the bridge. Attention, the crew of the Galician ship. This message is for you. The ship is now in our hands. Your commander made a serious mistake. You see, the new era is not a simple human settlement. There was a moment of silence, and when she spoke again, her voice had changed, becoming cold and sharp, like the very emptiness of space. We are a scientific outpost. In particular, we are studying innovative military technologies and rapid response protocols for first contact situations. In other words, we are exactly the people you would not want to attack if you were planning an invasion. Zar's eyes widened in horror as the gravity of the situation dawned on him. Your commander didn't do his research, Novak continued. If he had done that, he might have wondered why the small settlement had such minimal defenses, or why we didn't immediately call for help. The truth is, Commander Zar, we didn't need any help. What we needed was data, and you provided it very effectively. The doors to the bridge hissed open. Zar and his team turned and saw a group of people entering, each wearing modified Galax battle armor and carrying Galax weapons. Behind them was Director Novak, shorter than the galaxies, but somehow more imposing. She surveyed the bridge with clinical interest before focusing her gaze on Zar. Humanity thanks you for your generous donation to our understanding of the technology and tactics of the galaxies, she said with that same disturbing smile. Oh, and don't worry about your missing troops. They are quite comfortable, at least for most of them. Zar finally found his voice. "What are you going to do with us?" Novak's smile widened. "It depends on how much you will cooperate. You see, Commander, you made one fundamental mistake today." She came closer, looking at the much taller galaxies without a trace of fear. "You thought you were predators," she said softly. "But you were wrong. In Commander Czar's opinion, the following days were the most humiliating in his professional life. The humans had gained an advantage, and he couldn't prevent them from advancing. The entire crew of the Conqueror was immobilized with alarming precision by their own systems. Now Czar found himself in what had once been his private quarters, trapped on his own ship, awaiting another meeting with Director Novak. When the door opened, Czar expected to see Novak's familiar face with that disturbing grin. Instead, a tall human man carrying a datapad entered. "Good morning, Commander," the man said cheerfully. "I am Dr. Marcus Torres, a xenobiologist. Director Novak asked me to continue your interrogation today." Czar's mandibles snapped in annoyance. "I have nothing to say to you, human." Torres smiled with the same predatory expression that all humans seem to wear. "Oh, I think there is. Your subcommander Rila was extremely cooperative." Spectacular view. The chitinous exoskeleton of the galaxies alone has provided our material science team with several new areas of research. "Rila is a traitor," Czar hissed. "When the Supreme Ruler finds out about this, an attack on your colony will turn it into ashes." Torres pulled up a chair and sat down, completely unperturbed by this news. "We have studied your communication protocols, and they are quite complex," he said. "But we noticed something interesting." He leaned forward. "You didn't send a distress signal." Czar's antennae twitched involuntarily. "Our communications were disabled during your cowardly attack." "No," Torres said, shaking his head. "They shouldn't have been. You specifically ordered not to send a distress signal. Why would the commander of the mighty galactic empire do this if he didn't act on his own? Unless this attack was sanctioned by your supreme ruler." Suddenly, the room became too hot for Czar. "How could they know?" Torres tapped on his datapad, and a holographic image appeared between them. Czar on the bridge, talking to Rila before the attack. "The supreme ruler will be delighted," Czar stated. "This will be a straightforward attempt to increase the glory of the galactic empire." Torres stopped recording. The choice of words is intriguing. For a mission that has already been authorized. Czar's eyes flickered quickly. "You don't understand anything about galaxy communication protocols." "Actually, we're learning pretty fast," Torres replied. "Your linguistic database and Commander Rila's explanations have been invaluable. You decided to launch an attack on our colony without permission, hoping to impress the Supreme Ruler with a successful operation." He was interrupted when Czar's arms twitched in an attempt to free himself from the restraining devices that bound him to the chair. "She was always jealous of your position." But Torres remained unperturbed. "The ship's logs confirm that there was no official order to conquer the new era. You acted without permission, Commander. And now you have provided people with advanced technology and tactical information from the galaxies. That's a good reason for the Supreme Ruler to consider your kind hostile." He smiled again. "It's not a very wise decision." Czar went limp in his restraints. "It's true. The Supreme Ruler only ordered a reconnaissance. But I saw an opportunity for fame. The seemingly defenseless human colony was ripe for conquest." "How could I know?" Czar asked, his voice empty. "What now?" "Now we're discussing the future of human-galaxy relations," Torres said, his tone suddenly becoming more professional. "Director Novak would like you to accompany her to the meeting." "What kind of meeting?" "Diplomatic," Torres replied, standing up. "You will help us contact your Supreme Ruler. The ship's conference room has been turned into a command center for humans." When Torres escorted Czar inside, He saw Director Novak surrounded by holographic displays showing diagrams of galactic technology and star maps of galactic territory. Commander Czar, greetings. Thank you for joining us. I hope Dr. Torres has explained the situation to you. You can't hope to wage war against the entire galactic empire, Czar said, trying to sound confident despite his restraining devices. Novak finally looked at him, her expression funny. Who was talking about the battle? We are establishing diplomatic channels. Supreme Ruler. Czar was stunned. They also gained access to the historical records of the ship. Novak continued. We were busy while you were lounging in your quarters. Now we have a good understanding of the galactic society and their military strategy. Enough to know that your Supreme Ruler is not reckless, but pragmatic. She waved at the human technician, who brought up a new image on the screen. A star map showing the location of the new era relative to Earth and other human colonies. We also know that we are not defenseless. This settlement was founded with the specific goal of developing rapid response protocols for first contact situations, especially those involving hostility. While your soldiers disappeared one by one, we studied your weapons, tactics, and technologies, adapting and learning. No species learns that fast, Czar remarked. You're wrong. A new voice chimed in. Czar turned to see Subcommander Rila enter the room, unbound and wearing what appeared to be a modified version of her uniform. Humans are amazing in their ability to adapt, Commander. Their neural pathways form new connections at a rate unlike any other species we've encountered, she said. Traitor, Czar spat out. Their capacity for war is alarming, Czar added. Subcommander Rila has agreed to serve as our cultural ambassador. I was in touch with a human vessel. Humans turned out to be more difficult to conquer than expected. They successfully captured the Conqueror and its crew. The Supreme Ruler's mandibles clicked rapidly, which was a clear sign of his displeasure. You attacked without permission. You have violated the fundamental principles of the Galician military strategy. Czar, the Supreme Ruler, replied in a barely audible tone. His gaze shifted to Director Kira Novak, who was standing next to him, remaining calm. She is the leader of the people from the New Era Research Colony. She confirmed that she represents the united government of the Earth. I extend my greetings to the Galactic Empire. You have captured the Conqueror and its crew, the Supreme Ruler declared. This is unprecedented for a species with your technological capabilities. Novak's expression remained impassive. We are full of surprises, Supreme Ruler. However, I must be clear. We did not start fighting. We have successfully defended ourselves against an unprovoked attack, as Commander Czar has acknowledged. The Supreme Ruler stated that his actions were not sanctioned by the Empire, and he would be punished upon his return. In response, Novak said, We are ready to return Commander Czar and his crew along with the ship under certain conditions. The Supreme Ruler's mandibles clicked once, indicating curiosity. You are offering conditions. We agree to a formal non-aggression agreement between the Galactic Empire and all human colonies, followed by an exchange of diplomatic representatives. The Supreme Ruler paused for a moment, considering your proposal. Director Novak, I must admit that I am amazed by your suggestion of negotiations instead of retaliation after Commander Czar's attack. In the weeks since this incident, we have gained a deeper understanding of your technology, biology, and society than we could have gained in decades of peaceful interaction. We have successfully studied your weapons, modified your shields, and decoded your communication protocols. As Commander Czar would say, the facts speak for themselves. The Supreme Ruler smiled slightly, amused, and his mandibles clicked. Indeed, you are not what we expected, Director. I accept your terms, with one addition. Commander Czar will remain here. With you as our first diplomatic representative, his education about people should be continued. Czar's whiskers jumped in surprise. Ruler, He paused. The supreme ruler has instructed you to seek glory through conquest, Commander. Now you will achieve it through diplomacy. Learn from these people. Understand them. This is your new mission." Novak nodded in agreement. "We will prepare suitable conditions for the commander." After the connection ended, Tsar turned to Novak, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You planned this from the very beginning," he said. "Not really," Novak admitted. "But once we realized who you were and what you had done, it became a logical outcome. The supreme ruler needed to save face. You needed a punishment. And we needed a diplomatic channel. The ship and crew will be returned, as promised, minus several technological samples. We keep them for research purposes. Fair compensation for the damage done to our colony, isn't it?" Her posture was more relaxed than Tsar had ever seen it. "Commander, I believe this is a chance. People are not who we thought they were." Tsar agreed. "They're much worse." Torres laughed, patting Tsar's armored shoulder. "That's the attitude. Nothing brings species closer together than mutual respect based on healthy fear." 6 months later, Tsar stood on the observation deck of the newly built Galactic Human Diplomatic Center, watching the shuttles arrive for the official signing of the Non-Aggression Pact. Next to him, Rila was looking at the data on her pad. "The Supreme Ruler's ship has entered orbit," she reported, "and the human delegation from Earth passed through customs control." Tsar's mandibles clicked in confirmation. "Has Director Novak arrived?" "What is it?" she asked. "An hour ago." She asked to speak with Tsar before the ceremony. As if summoned by name, Novak appeared at the entrance to the observation deck. "Greetings, Commander," she said after 6 months. Tsar greeted her, overcoming the initial discomfort of her smile, looking forward to the ceremony. "I still don't understand," Tsar said, turning to face her. "You could have destroyed us, seized our technology, and used it against the Empire. Why didn't you do it?" Novak leaned against the railing, looking up at the stars. "We don't want to be the people we can be, Commander. Yes, we can be ferocious when faced with danger. Our history is full of examples, but we try to be better than our worst instincts. And if the agreement fails, if the conflict resumes, our smiles will disappear. Then we will remember everything we learned from our inevitable conquest, and the Galactic Empire will find out why it is unwise to provoke people." Rila's whiskers twitched with anticipation. "Director, you said that the research colony was established to develop rapid response protocols for first contact scenarios. Were you expecting us specifically?" "No," Novak shook her head. "But we've been broadcasting our presence in space for centuries. We knew that someone would find us. We just wanted to be ready when it happens." Tsar understood. "Your entire colony was a trap. I prefer to think of it as a precautionary measure," Novak corrected, "like keeping guns at the door. You hope to never use it, but you sleep better knowing it's there." The bell rang, signaling the start of the ceremony. "It's time to make history, gentlemen," Novak said, and her smile returned. As they walked to the ceremonial hall, Tsar reflected on how completely his perception of people had changed. They weren't the weak, disorganized creatures he'd initially thought they were. They were adaptable, resourceful, and absolutely terrifying when faced with a threat. But perhaps the most frightening aspect was their capacity for restraint. The calculated decision to show mercy when they might not have done so spoke to a level of strategic thinking that amazed him. Beyond the simple act of survival or conquest, the supreme ruler was right to seek peace with these people. Tsar launched an attack on the seemingly defenseless colony and discovered too late that the humans were not prey, but predators disguised as prey, patiently waiting for someone to make the same mistake as him. As they entered the ceremonial hall, which was filled with representatives of both species, Tsar noticed Dr. Torres demonstrating an advanced galaxy pulse rifle to a group of galaxy scientists. Somehow, in just 6 months, People improved the effectiveness of weapons by 30%. Wonderful, isn't it? Said Novak, following his gaze. What can we achieve when we work together instead of fighting? Tsar clicked his mandibles in reluctant agreement. Yes, although I suspect the Supreme Ruler still has nightmares about what might have happened if I had attacked another human colony. Oh, Commander, Novak laughed, patting his armored forearm. You don't have to worry about that. In this regard, her smile took on a predatory character again. All our colonies look like a new era. And that's what your Supreme Ruler is really afraid of. Not what happened, but what could have happened elsewhere. When the ceremony began and the treaty was finalized, Tsar finally learned the true lesson of his failed conquest. The most formidable predators are not those who brandish weapons or adopt aggressive poses. The most formidable are those who seem harmless until they are threatened, and then reveal themselves as the monsters they could always become. As Commander Tsar watched the Supreme Ruler and the human president sign the historic agreement, he was deeply grateful that the monsters had decided to be merciful.